And that's not even the scary part. Yes, I get the fact that managers choosing stability over artistry is scary, but it's not nearly as scary as what comes next. I mean, take Mystique, for example, or as I like to call her, Mystique. Now, I know the moment we saw her, the first thought that popped into our heads was, another Concord, another ticking woke time bomb. But then, what if there is something even way more scarier than wokeness that we haven't even dared to consider? And it's something that I call the managerial disease. So what is the managerial disease? Well, it's something that we have been circling this whole time. It is simply stability over artistry. Bureaucracy versus artistry. Now, here's something I noticed. You see, when we're talking about wokeness, I've noticed that most of the commentary around this political hot button issue is that it's a left versus right issue or kind of deal. It's culture war madness, if you will. But what if I told you that managers or CEOs don't actually worship at the temple of ideology? Hell, most of them don't even believe in ideology or in DEI or any of that stuff. Now, you might be going, I under. Ergo, how is that even possible? You're doing that thing whereby you start talking out of both sides of your mouth. Because personally, I have seen and heard managers talk or CEOs talk about their games. They'd be spouting stuff like, it's for a modern audience. We wanted people to feel represented. We wanted people to see themselves in this product. So, Anda, what the hell are you talking about saying that the managers or the CEOs don't even believe in ideology? Well, you see, the thing is, the CEOs do believe in something, but it's not DEI or ideology. Hell, DEI or ideology is not even the reason as to why they pivot or make certain decisions. It might seem like that when you look at it from at face value. It seems as if ideology is king. It's what dictates their actions. But there's something deeper than meets the eye. Like, for example, the CEO of Insomniac didn't wake up one morning and go, you know what? I think I should make Wolverine woke, I think it would be a really good move just to piss off the gamers, piss off the misogynists and the homophobiarists. What's the term? The homophobic bigots, and just piss them off and just make Wolverine woke and make Mystique as ugly as I possibly can. I think that would really, really, get me that spotlight so I can actually gun for that next promotion. I think that's something I'm gonna do. Like, nah, guy. It doesn't actually work like that. The four horsemen, or should I say the gods that govern how CEOs operate, are profitability, reputation, shareholders, and job security. There is a fifth horseman, but I'll save that one for later. So those are the gods that the managers serve. Each and every single action that managers do is governed by these four pillars or these five axes of control. And there is a king that stands above all these four that actually determines how companies react, the decisions that they make, and how they plan their goals and long-term strategies. So when you see an ugly female design or a bland female character, you are right to go, this is woke. I know what it looks like. I can smell it. We've been through this before. This is a woke product. But it's a shallow interpretation of what you're actually seeing. The deeper perspective that I want to invite you to is to consider the fact that I'm sure you've noticed that when, let's say, the political cultural winds are blowing towards sexy female character designs, like back in the early 2000s, that studios and companies would simply pivot towards that and would simply do that. And that was fine, right? Because it was also profitable and it was also good for them. So why would you actually change something that works, right? And you've also noticed that when the political winds shift, say maybe they're going towards the left and we're getting less curvy female characters, and really bland, uninspired storytelling and stuff like that. that the companies also shift towards that direction. Have you ever asked yourself why that is? A simple answer would be it's because they seek to make money. They seek to make profit. Well, yes and no. You are half right when you say it's because of profit, but there's a deeper reason as to why they actually even do it in the first place. What actually governs their actions? Because if what you're saying is true, that the secret ingredient that determines the decisions that the companies make is actually profit, then the question which I would pose to you is, if profit is actually what gets them off their asses, how come we spent a good 5, even maybe 10 years whereby we saw Disney hemorrhaging money? We saw gaming companies hemorrhaging money, having their products boycotted. No one was buying that stuff because of ideology, because of what they were pushing. And yet, you would expect the companies to actually pivot, but they didn't. Why didn't they pivot? As a matter of fact, they doubled down. Disney kept doing it over and over again, giving us LGTV trash, propaganda, shoving it down our throats. You saw it with Rings of Power. You saw it with Marvel. You saw even with the games that they were making. You saw what they did with Ragnarok, a black Angrboda in Scandinavia. You saw it with Dustborn. You saw it with Spider-Man 2. They just kept doubling down, regardless of the paying customer going, dude, I don't want this. I'm simply going to take my money elsewhere. Didn't matter to them. They still continue to double down. So you see, profit cannot be king. There has to be something more, something else that would force them to stay the course, even when they're bleeding money. Isn't that amazing? That they actually stay the course because of something that's keeping them there. They actually perceive that the cost of pivoting is far greater, or it outweighs the cost of staying the course and bleeding out slowly. Isn't that amazing? Isn't it? My schizophrenia is getting the best of me. But isn't it actually amazing? Isn't it fascinating that they would actually go against one of the core pillars of their DNA, which is to make money, and be like, you know what? We're going to stay the course. We're not going anywhere. You will slowly bleed out, but it's for a good reason. At least that's what they tell themselves. Now I know. You're probably going, but ergo, you just told us that profitability is one of the pillars that governs how these CEOs actually work, how they are guided. And now you're over here telling us that profitability doesn't seem to actually matter. Which is it? You're doing that thing again where you're acting like a pseudo-intellectual fraud and trying to sound smart when in actuality you're just talking out of your ass. You have no idea what you're talking about. Well, that actually hurt my feelings. As a matter of fact, I do know what I'm talking about, and I shall reveal it this instant. Well, clearly the reason is the fact that they I'm just kidding. I'm messing with you. Now, yes, you would be right. And that's a valid point, a valid criticism. That is a valid point, because it seems as if I'm actually contradicting myself. It seems like I'm actually talking out of both sides of my mouth. Unless you forgot one thing from Captain Jack Sparrow. I'm joking. Okay, fine. That was the last joke. Unless you forgot one thing. The Phantom Fifth Man. The God. The one who stands above all. The God that all companies serve, whether they know it or do not know it. And that God is risk perception. Risk is the God that all these other pillars and axes look upon for leadership as to what do we do, where do we go from here. Do you know the difference between the East and the West in as far as the game development or the gaming industry is concerned? Now, you might say there's no ideology in the East, and yes, you'd be right. But I want to point out something probably that you didn't consider. What is considered safe in the East? In the East, what is considered safe by the CEOs is artistry. Big boobs, big butts, sexy female characters, awesome storytelling. That is what is considered safe in the East because they haven't been ideologically captured. So the managers over there prioritize artistry because it's what works, right? And it's what is safe, most importantly. By safe, it also means what is less risky. Let's go over to the West. What do the CEOs and the managers perceive as risky in the West? Or what do they consider as safe? And that's simple. DEI, ideology, equals safe. We have the same managers, but different contexts. So then the question becomes, why? The answer is simple. It's all about risk perception. If companies feel, because risk in a CEO POV isn't necessarily something that is objective, it's a feeling. So if the CEOs or the investors start to feel as if a certain course of action is risky, they will either pivot from it, even if it means that they will make losses because of it. It's all about perceived risk. Haven't you ever asked yourself the question as to why do these companies seem to fear activists and protesters more than they fear the paying customer? It's also a point to highlight how profitability isn't actually king. But why is that? Why is it that these companies, they don't seem to give a damn about the source material, right? Like, they will flush the source material down the drain in order to appease protesters, people that don't even play their games. Why do they do that? Shouldn't you, as the paying customer, have the final say? Shouldn't you have a louder voice than those ones who think they know better than you? The answer is simple. It's because the protesters, they're able to manufacture a level of perceived risk that forces, goodness gracious, that forces the managers or the CEOs to quake or to shiver or to shake in their boots, even if the majority doesn't actually care. You see, you as a loyal customer, if something doesn't actually meet your qualifications or meet your standards as far as games are concerned, what do? You will silently eject and be like, you know what, I'm taking my money elsewhere. You're not going to make a fuss about it, right? But the protesters don't do that. The protesters will rally together. The protesters will create a Twitter shitstorm. They will throw labels at the companies. They will call them bigots. They will call them racist, misogynists, homophobes, white supremacists. They have these labels that they use, and they have this ability to force the hands of the CEOs. Because the thing is, guys, once there is a Twitter shitstorm whereby the activists are dragging the name of the company in the dirt or in the mud, the investors get spooked, as I've already said. And when they get spooked, do you know what that means? That means that they will start asking questions. And they were like, dude, who greenlit this decision? Because right now, our reputation is in the dirt and we're taking a beating. So who did it? I swear to God, if I have to repeat this question one more time, and the CEO steps forward, it's you! It's you!
It's you? It's you!
Yeah. Well, yes, kind of.
How could you, man? How could you?
That meme is legendary. It's you! It's you! And you know what that means, right? Because once that happens, that means that someone is going to lose their job. And one of the pillars that we actually talked about was job security. So the easiest thing for the owners to do is to simply fire you on the spot. Yeah, they will fire you to placate the crowd of protesters, sacrifice you into that storm, and say, you know what, guys, we've already cleaned up house, we fired the guy, so you guys are good to go right now, right? And then the storm will quiet down. So that's why you find CEOs and managers talking about DEI, DEI talking points as if they actually believe in it, but they actually do not believe in it. The reason as to why they adopt these talking points is to placate the protesters, the activists. So they need to speak their language. So that's why you often hear them talk. This game is meant to help people see themselves. We're making it for modern audiences. All of this DEI speech and terminology is to placate the crowd, placate the sensitive minority. It's for them. Because if they don't do that, then their jobs are on the line. If they make moves that, even if they seem profitable, but if they piss off that tiny minority, even if it's a good business decision in the long run, they may face job loss as a penalty for pissing off those guys. That is the managerial disease. It's not wokeness. It's not ideology. It is the worship of risk perception above all else.